So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Serafina Smith, and currently I'm an assistant dean in the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences at Rutgers University, New Brunswick. Welcome and congratulations on your admissions. We're delighted to have you join us today, and we're very sorry we were unable to meet in person to help you and assist you with your college admissions decision. I know this is a difficult time, but hopefully today's session will be informative and will allow you to feel confident about what Rutgers and the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences has to offer you. In today's session, you'll be hearing from Dr. Ines Rauschenbach from the Microbiology program, from Dr. Oscar Schofield from Marine Sciences. You'll also hear from Dr. Karen O'Neill from the Environmental Policy program. And lastly, you'll also hear from Dr. Stephen Decker from our Meteorology major. In addition, we have Dean Carol Andrew, who is joining us, and she will be answering any questions that you have through the chat platform. We will also take any questions that you have and answer them live so that we can inform you and talk to you a little bit further about what our program directors will be sharing with you today. Before we get started, I would love to share with you our poll results because I want to know a little bit about you before you get to know more about our programs and our majors. And we are thankful that you voted and that you've joined us today. Can one of my program directors please confirm if you're able to see the poll on your screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So as we see here, we have a number of New Jersey students joining us from Clinton, Annandale, Union, Old Bridge, Marlton. Shouts out to you and thank you for joining us today. We have Westfield as well. We have some students from Delaware, Chicagoland. Hopefully you're probably dealing with a lot of wind as we are dealing with today here in New Jersey. And in terms of majors, we see some students interested in EPIB, Environmental Policy, Institutions and Behavior, Marine Biology, Environmental and Marine Sciences, Meteorology, Biochemistry, and looking at others. Okay, great. And I see some undecided. So thank you so much for your submissions. This is great for us to know. And we hope that you have specific questions about the programs, but you also feel free to ask us any questions that you may have about academic and student life at Rutgers University and within the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences. So without further ado, I would like to hand it over to Dr. Rauschenbach, who will talk to you about the microbiology program at the, at the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences. Dr. R, take it away. Dr. R, you're currently muted.
I'm sorry. I do this a lot and then I forget to turn on the microphone. I want to actually welcome you and congratulate you. And I'm joining from Cranford, New Jersey, since I saw somebody from Westfield, which is right next door. And I'm the undergraduate program director in microbiology. And just a little bit about our program. We have a smaller program, which many of our students really like because we have a close-knit community, and I personally know all of the students that are currently in our program. I advise everyone of our students, and we also offer a lot of hands-on learning. So in order for you to obtain a degree in microbiology, we have you basically take classes in biology and chemistry, organic chemistry, biochemistry, and then we have a lot of different electives, which I think is a really great opportunity to really take courses that are going toward sort of that track that you're interested in. We also have over 100 faculty currently working at the university on research projects that are involving microbiological topics, and you never know what you actually find to be super interesting. And I had an email recently from a student that's like, you know, I'm really interested in pathological in microbiology and pathogens. And I was like, well, you know, maybe soil microbiology or maybe marine microbiology or environmental microbiology would also be a great topic. So you can try out lots and lots of different areas and also have the opportunity to learn and to get experience beyond the classroom. We also have opportunities for students to become involved, to be involved in campus happenings. We offer learning assistantships to our major students to lead other undergraduates in their learning and academic progress in courses like our general microbiology course. We also invite our students to become part of our Rutgers Day group to display what we do in our department, and we also have a microbiology club. And then I also have get-togethers with my students, and so everyone knows each other, and it's a really great group in our microbiology program. You can see that we also have students. You can see in the picture, we work with iPads in the lab, and we brew beer. That's always everyone's favorite experiment. And so it's a well-rounded, very interesting major to go into, since many of you guys are maybe even undecided. So come and talk to me. There's my email. Send me an email and we can set up a meeting and we can chat.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rauschenbach. And I'm going to have to join you in that lab when you guys are brewing beer. It's something that's always intrigued me. That's very interesting.
We're gonna have a competition. So yeah,
oh, that's cool.
Our competition.
Yeah, that'd be really fun to capture and showcase to our students. Dr. Schofield, would you like to take it away and talk to us about the Marine Sciences program?
Sure. So my name's Oscar Schofield. I'm chair of Marine Sciences, and I just want to start off also congratulating you. You got lots of great choices, and we hope you come join us. Marine Sciences is a real science intensive major. You sort of choose what part of marine sciences you like. Are you interested in the biology, the chemistry, the physics, or the geology? And they all have different applications for what kind of work you do afterwards. And so that's something you don't have to decide right out of the box. That's something that evolves. An advantage of that is if you choose like biological oceanography as a focus, you're just a few classes away from a double major in biology and biological oceanography. The hallmark of what we try to do is to get people involved in the research. It's the good part of the degree is research credits. Our students go with us in the field. I just got back in February from Antarctica, and I had 4 undergraduates with me travel there. Our students have gone to Antarctica, Arctic, Asia, Australia, as well as Europe, because we have projects pretty much spanning the globe. We have a big aquaculture program that provides hands-on training for that, as well as a big fisheries component and a fisheries minor. And then we also have a 4+1 program. So if you like it and you want to continue on to like marine industry, after your degree is finished, there's a 1-year master's program to give you hands-on training of running sort of the cutting edge technologies that will feed you right into industry. So it's a 5-year program with the masters. We use robots, drones, but we still send people to sea, and we hope you'll come because we need bodies when we go out into the field, and it's fun adventures, and we'd love to have you come join us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Schofield. Dr. Decker, would you like to jump in and talk about the meteorology major at Rutgers and the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences?
Sure. So congratulations, everyone, for your admission to Rutgers. I'm going to talk about our meteorology program. We have 3 options within our major. One is operational meteorology for those interested in weather forecasting. We have environmental meteorology for those students interested in things like air pollution and air quality. And we have our climate option for those students interested in climate change. I'm not aware of any of our undergraduates going to Antarctica, but we do have a field trip in the summer where we go to the plains and look for severe weather. And then there's also a course connected to run with our environmental science program where the students go to Costa Rica during spring break to look at how climate change is affecting the rainforest down there. Some of the highlights of our program include the Weather Watcher Living Learning Community, which is right here on the Cook campus in Perry Hall, which is where our TV studio is with our state-of-the-art weather graphics equipment. So those students, not just students interested in broadcast meteorology, but really all of our meteorology students, if you're living on campus, that's a great place to be a part of the living learning community, because no matter what your career path ends up being, chances are you're going to need to communicate in some fashion. And then another highlight is the Storm Tracker 4 Doppler radar located on campus that we use in conjunction with WNBC in New York. Through that collaboration, we also have students frequently intern at WNBC. In terms of careers, so in addition to places like the National Weather Service, or more broadly, NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, we find our students some going off to graduate school. We have students in the private weather consulting sector, but also a number of our students end up in private industry, in agribusiness, in the energy sector, utility sector, not just sort of traditional energy like your natural gas and such, but also renewable energy companies. We have a lot of our alumni at those sorts of places, as well as the insurance and reinsurance industry as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Decker. And lastly, Dr. O'Neill, would you like to provide your overview for your major? Dr. O'Neill, you may be muted.
Sorry. Hi, we're really glad to have you. I think one thing that you can tell from all the presentations here is that this school is a special place in terms of a lot of hands-on work and also students who are really engaged with issues of the day. And our set of majors and minors in this department are really something that you can couple with other studies. So for example, taking a minor in the policy degree can be coupled with any of the majors you've heard about today or any other majors. And the reason why, if you think about it, our school was founded in part to help bring about the implementation of environmental policies, right? We were founded in the 1970s, and from the start, our program has been part of that. And so the major is called Environmental Policy Institutions and Behavior. And in that major, we tend to have several areas of influence. One is on health, environmental health, and other aspects of health. Another is natural resources. So obviously we work together with a lot of these other majors on natural resources policy. Food policy is something a lot of students are really interested in, whether it's from agriculture to transportation to consumption of food and food consumerism. And then also risk and science communication. And so all of these aspects, what we found to be really robust combination. So for example, the current COVID-19 crisis, I'm actively teaching about that in my environmental history class. And we just had yesterday our second, it was a reading I'd already planned on having about an epidemic. And the students were so on it. They were just so engaged and so excited that they knew something. They could talk to their family members and other people about all the various social conditions that affect an outbreak. And so that's just an example of what I would say is one of the central aspects of the policy major, which is the ability to translate between technical areas of knowledge like science, but also law. Law and policy are highly technical and they need translation to other people. So for example, communicating to scientists, here's the policy restrictions that we need your input on those. And then also developing ideas about how people in society are perceiving problems or are maybe exacerbating problems. And so for that reason, the jobs that our students go into, obviously historically have been a lot of students have gone into government agencies. So of course we do a lot of internships in government agencies, but also certainly in advocacy groups, nonprofit groups, maybe doing natural resource management, say for a park or for a private organization that has its own land to manage. But increasingly, we've seen students moving into business firms. And so this is a theme you've heard from several of the presenters here, is that businesses need the knowledge that we're producing in this school. And increasingly, students in our major are being hired into business firms to do work on sustainability. And environmental consulting firms, even an engineering firm, what they find is that our students and their ability to translate knowledge are a real supplement to the technical people that they have on staff. And so you'll see in the list of minors that the sustainability minor is one that we highlight. And it's an unusual minor because it's cross-disciplinary. So we have people in the business school, people in engineering, people in the various majors in our school who are involved in this. And this involves things like assessing needs. It involves looking at supply chain management and things like that. And these are real jobs that are increasingly being staffed in city governments and in business firms. There are a number of different opportunities that students can pursue. You might want to look up our newsletter, which is called the EPIB Trail, EPIB, and that's online. And it's so really, it's such a representation of what our students do. So I encourage you to go look at that. There's also a video online that a student made showing what our major is, which you can also just look up by Googling environmental policy major. We have a lot of students who do study abroad, and of course the internship requirement, which is required by our school. So we have, as you can see, all these various minors that focus on different aspects of communication. If you have questions about those, I would really be happy to talk to you. And you can see my contact information here on the slide. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dr. O'Neill. That was really informative. And at this moment, I would like to shift over to our question and answer session. So you heard from 4 of our faculty program directors, and you've learned a little bit more about our programs and what's available to you if you choose Rutgers as the place where you would like to continue your education. But we want to hear from you. We know that you have questions, things that may seem unclear, or things you just want to learn more about. So please feel free to ask us some questions on the chat box, as you see here. The chat box, you just click on the chat icon, type in your questions. Myself, the rest of the faculty, and my colleague, Carol Andrew, are standing live to answer anything that you will have for us. And thank you so much, Carol, for sending over the links. Many of our faculty, and especially Dr. O'Neill, referenced that you can find many resources by logging into her website. So please feel free to peruse the information on the program sites and learn a little bit more about what our students and our faculty are doing at the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences. So as we wait for some of our participants to ask us questions, I would like to invite our faculty panelists to talk a little bit about experience-based education. I think, Dr. O'Neill, you really hit the nail on the head when you talked about the requirement that we have as a school for students to gain hands-on experience, and you talked extensively about the opportunities for students to do that through your program. But I'd like to give the other faculty an opportunity to talk a little bit further about that, so the students are aware of the opportunities available to them. So Dr. Rauschenbach, if you'd like to start us off, I think it would be great for students to hear about microbiology and the hands-on experiences available to them in and outside of the lab. I know you talked a little bit about that, but if you can elaborate, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I encourage my students to find and reach out to professors on campus, and not just on campus, but also on the other campuses, to reach out to faculty to see if there are research opportunities available. And I do offer some research opportunities as well, because I think it's very important, especially as a microbiology major, to get as much hands-on experience as possible. And so many of our students join a lab, and not just for a semester, many times for 2, 3, 4 semesters. And we also sometimes have undergraduates that are part of publications, working with other graduate students. And many of our undergraduate students also join the GH Cook Honors Program, where you basically work on a project for a year, which then culminates in an honors thesis and a presentation. It's a wonderful experience. And you not only get to learn more of the procedures and the skills, but it also helps you to develop your leadership skills. And so our major has this really great, these very diverse. So talking about research, so we have research, as I mentioned, in soil microbiology. We also have opportunities working with pathogens. So we have a professor that works with Staphylococcus aureus, with degradation of healthcare products in the environment, toxins. And this is not just working in the lab, but this is also going out into the field and obtaining samples. All the way to, sponges in Australia that we actually can bring in and develop projects around that. We also do offer a study abroad in the summertime. And unfortunately, this summer, we weren't able to offer this because of the global pandemic, but we have a wine and cheese course that is actually held in France for 3 weeks. And I always joke with the department chair that they're hopefully looking for a teaching assistant soon, because I would love to join this class because you learn just literally in France about wine and cheese and the microbiology that's behind that. We also have students that work in food microbiology. So anything, basically, there's lots and lots of opportunities and projects. And with that gives you a really great opportunity to obtain jobs in industry, in academic research, graduate school, medical school, you name it. With a microbiology degree, you can obtain and you can go into any of those diverse fields.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rauschenbach. And if I know you want a research assistant, but if you ever need a recruiter or anyone to just help you promote this program and also attend, I think it'll be best for me to be able to be in France to be able to talk about the experience. So add me to the list of participants because I would love to go. And Dean Andrew also actually place the link where students can learn more about this study abroad opportunity, because it is very popular and you'll learn a great deal through this experience without having to go away for an entire academic year. So now I would like to allow Dr. Decker to talk a little bit about these opportunities in his program.
Right. So I mentioned the internships at WNBC. But of course, we've had students intern at a variety of TV stations, both the New York stations, the Philadelphia stations, News 12 New Jersey, which is just over the river in Edison. But students also intern at the National Weather Service. They've interned at the Geophysical Fluid Dynamics Lab down near Princeton, which they do a lot of climate and climate change studies. We've had students intern with private weather consulting firms. There's one here in New Jersey called Spot On Weather that does a lot of consulting with the film and TV industry. So when they're doing an outdoor shoot and they want to know, is the weather going to be cooperative with our outdoor shoot, and they want to schedule things appropriately. And so we've had some of our students actually looking into those sorts of things. There are internships in sort of the business world as well. We've had students at Mars, which in addition to making M&Ms, does all sorts of other food products, and they want to know how's the weather going to impact the sugar crop in Brazil and the palm oil crop in Indonesia and all these other ingredients, the chocolate crop, etc. So they have meteorologists helping out with their supply chain, essentially. But we also have here the New Jersey State Climatologist Office here at Rutgers. And so we've had students intern over at the climatologist office, helping to crunch the numbers to determine, did we have the warmest winter ever or the least snowiest winter ever, those sorts of things. We run a weather station over at Rutgers Gardens, and students actually get paid for this. That's a part-time job where if you're willing to get up at 8 o'clock and take the official observation from Rutgers Gardens, you can contribute to a century-long record of what the weather's been here in New Brunswick, New Jersey, which then goes into those kinds of calculations like, was this the warmest or the coldest, et cetera, month, season, whatever the case may be. In terms of research opportunities, as with all the majors here in the school, we have that Quick Senior Honors Thesis program that's school-wide. And we routinely have meteorology students participate in that. And then we also have our independent study class called Research Problems in Meteorology. So students can always pair up with one of our faculty members to work on some research project of interest to the faculty member and the student. And then I already mentioned our field trips as well. So I think that covers the basics.
Thank you so much, Dr. Decker. And lastly, Dr. Schofield, can you talk a little bit about You've elaborated about the research opportunities and experience-based education, especially through the international immersion opportunities available through SCBS when students have gone to Antarctica. But if you can talk a little bit further to our audience about just how our students gain their experience-based education at Rutgers. And in addition, we have someone that would like to learn a little bit more about the marine research stations at Rutgers. And if you can talk about that as well, that'd be great.
Okay. So the first off, what we try to focus involved in research their freshman year. We have Oceanography House. It's a learning community to essentially help incoming students essentially navigate being at a research university. And the best thing about being at the research university is there are a lot of exceptional labs across all the departments, and they're there for you to get experience. So we set students, we have freshmen by the end of the year taking May. The other thing we do is we want to give you lots of hands-on skills. So we've married the marine science program to the athletics scuba program. And as you're coming through, starting in your freshman year, you can go through a series of classes in the university, much cheaper than if you do it outside, and graduate with a dive master degree, which gives you a whole nother set of job options. The students, they work in our labs, and I would say that's the same for all the different departments you just heard from. You get credit for working in the labs, and often you'll get paid. So, you know, the one thing about coming to a research university is you're going to go knock on doors and you're going to find what labs you really enjoy the work in. But more importantly, you also find the kind of work you don't like. You know, I work on small plankton. And you might say, you know, those are the boring things in the world. And I'm not going to take it personally. Learning what you love and learning what you don't love is actually one of the big things we want you to get here. The students, when they get involved working in labs, their first year on until they graduate, that's how they get pulled into these foreign field trips. A good example of one is we have a long-term program in Mongolia, looking at fish ecology, in the Mongolian mountains out in the countryside, and they take students there. And then they often then start working in the local rivers near the Raritan. To give people hands-on experience, we actually have several little Rutgers research vessels. We actually drive them up the Raritan River right onto campus, and so students, as part of their classes, can get out in the field, learn how to work instrumentation, and learn how to work with the big data that comes from it. We have two field stations. One is in Tuckerton, New Jersey, sort of across the bay from the Atlantic City. It's a beautiful Coast Guard station. It's actually on pier pilings because at super high tides, it'll be cut off from land. And we anchor a lot of sea level rise research there, as well as fisheries and storm research. That's coupled directly to the growing offshore wind industry. So they are excited to have students involved in the research about that. So there's lots of industrial connections. The other one field station we have is down in Cape May, way down in southern New Jersey. It's probably the premier aquaculture facility in the world. It's over a century old. And a lot of the oyster strains you eat now or buy from the store actually were developed as and immersion. Both field stations have dorms. So often if you go down and take a 2-week intersession course, you'll live down there, you'll cook down there, and you'll work as a team. The field station Tuckerton is located within the National Estuarine Reserve System, the Jacques Cousteau Estuarine Reserve System. And so the research spans all the way from the deep ocean, all the way up into the estuaries, all the way to the pine barrens and a lot of the ecology there. We do everything from bioengineering for biofuels to the ecology of bird and fish. And so there's a wide range of skills and topics you can learn. And I think The other thing I'd emphasize is all these departments work really closely together. And so students often straddle between human ecology, marine science, environmental studies, and microbiology. And that's actually what's going to get you jobs afterwards, is not to be so specialized that you can't go into the diverse work field. And so we really want you to come, and we want you to be involved in helping be scientists and leaders from day one. We don't want you to wait till your graduation to start that. We want you to start your freshman year.
Thank you so much, Dr. Schofield. That was great. So I know one of the many questions that I get from students, or things that may cause them anxiety, is relating to the size of Rutgers. It's a very large institution. We have over 36,000 undergraduate students. And for those of you who, like me, came from a small high school, I graduated with 113 students, it can seem overwhelming, but I know that there are some students who are looking for that big college field. And I know finding your place, finding your fit, finding your community can seem a little bit daunting, especially now when you're not able to step foot on campus and visit us and see what we're really all about. You get to just meet with us virtually and see some of our recruitment videos and our tours through our websites. So I would love for our faculty to talk a little bit about class sizes, because one of the greatest things about the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences is that students within our school get the benefit of being in a small school within a large university. So you get access to research, access to students who hail from over 180 countries around the world. We have a number of international students from outside of the state. We have over 100 majors, over 750 clubs and organizations. So when it comes to being involved and being active, there's a number of opportunities. But I would like for students to understand that when it comes to your academic life at Rutgers, you'll be in a program and in a school that is small. So we're able to be intentional, focused, really connect with you and help you develop your skills and your interests to propel you in your next steps towards your future career. So Dr. Rauschenbach, if I can ask you to join us back and just talk about the size of your program, how large or small our class sizes, and maybe mention a few other ways that students can get involved on campus in different areas or clubs that are relating to your program and major.
Yeah, so I always say that it's like an urban oasis. So we are in the middle of New Brunswick, but we do have a farm, and there is a beautiful pond that once the weather gets warmer, and I can always tell the end of the spring semester when students lay out in the field and study outside. And so beside our campus are the largest class where we sort of meet all of our microbiology students, or that all of our microbiology students have to take, is general microbiology. And the class is about 200, but this will be one of the largest classes you'll be taking for the microbiology. Once you get into your major courses, many times the enrollment will be no more, for a lab, maybe 15 students or 12 students, which is a really great way of getting that personal hands-on and that personal sort of discussion. And we also work with our teaching assistants, and so that way we get really great critical thinking. Also, our labs are set up in a way that it's inquiry-based, and it feels like you're doing a little research. And many times I get really great feedback from students saying that it was, especially for our applied microbiology, that they loved it because it felt like independent, and it felt like you're working in the lab on a research project, even though you're taking a class. We have also a seminar course and an ethics course. We have multiple different microbiology courses, and the enrollment is for a lecture-based course really never more between 20 and 30. So it's really, really small. And as one of my microbiology students said when we did an open house, it feels like, and as I said, it feels like a community. One of the programs that we are very proud of, as I mentioned before, is the Learning Assistant program. And this is a paid position where you are holding study groups for, we have this for Gen Micro, and then hopefully we can also expand this to other classes. And we also have learning assistants in the lab. And it's a really great way not only to help you to sort of review the material, but it's also a way for you to work with other undergraduates. And we also have our Microbiology Club, and the club will host speakers, seminar speakers, and also gets involved with working with us for Rutgers Day, which is a really great showcase. And, you know, this happens every spring. And hopefully, you know, next year we'll be back to, you know, sort of that normal kind of fun stuff that happens at the end of the spring semester. So that's, yeah, so that's sort of the ways that our students get involved.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rauschenbach. At this moment, Dr. O'Neill, can you talk a little bit about the size of your program and classes, average class sizes? And I also see that you were chatting with a student regarding your major and how it can prepare a student to get a well-rounded scientific background in addition to policy, so that an individual can have the background that will be appealing to recruiters. You gave a wonderful answer on the chat, but I'd like to give you the opportunity of also answering this question live for any of our audiences who may find who will have this particular question.
Hi. So, you know, just to really reinforce with what Ines said, I don't know if you're getting a sense, but this school is different from SAS in a number of ways. And one of the ways is that a lot of the programs actually do create this feeling of a community. I'd say all of them, really. And similar to what Ines said about microbiology, once you get past the first two classes in the major, where maybe you're in a 100-person classroom or 150, most of the classes will be about 25. Some of them maybe up to 50, but most of them are around 25 or so people. We also, all of us have places where students can hang out. So we have our student lounge. We have, you know, as I mentioned, the newsletter, which is a place where students really, what's interesting is they come back semester after semester and work together. You know, they have, and then also Students for Environmental Awareness, which is a club which actually is open to anybody, but a lot of times students host it in our major. So those are the places where people are feeling community. The other thing that I'd like you to notice is the advising, which is starting to become, you know, we're demonstrating it for you right here. We are the people who do advising for the majors, and Carol Andrews and Serafina Smith, and there's a whole group of people behind them who help with advising. And I feel that advising in our school is actually a lot more hands-on than in other parts of Rutgers. Not to put them down, but just that you can get a lot of attention here. We have, you know, one of the things that is your birthright is once you become an undergraduate, you have the right to change your major, right? And so how are you going to know which major suits you until you talk to people? So we really do want to encourage you to see this as an opportunity to explore, even if you think you know what you want to do. One of the things that's really exciting to me is that when students start to take required classes, they'll say, oh, you know, I never really thought that that was interesting to me. And then maybe they'll add a minor or something like that. And I think it's through this sort of combination of activities and, you know, meeting students in classes that they share an interest with, working in clubs, getting a research opportunity with a professor. It's through that process that they really do create community. And I would say the other thing is certainly living on campus, if that's an option for you. If you've had an opportunity, if you've been invited to the Hellier House, for example, it's an amazing experience for people. The students who've done that really love it. These living learning communities, it's just, there's so many opportunities. I really encourage you to check it out.
Thank you so much, Dr. O'Neill. You really brought up a really great point about the fact that we failed to mention that we're all academic advisors, and it's I would love for our students to understand the way that our advising system works within the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences. And so we have a two-tier advising system. So myself and Dean Andrew are general advisors within the Office of Academic Programs. And I see Dean Andrew graciously posted our website where you can meet our team and the rest of the advisors who are not joining us today, but are on our team supporting students to persist and do well academically on campus and support them with any enrollment or advising questions that they have. But all of the individuals that you have here on this panel also support students with advising, career support. So if you are interested in any particular research, or if you're interested in an internship, not only do we have the career services department through the Rutgers University, New Brunswick, but we also have the student to professional internship network, which supports our students with completing their experience-based education credits at Rutgers and the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences. But also your faculty are first in line to provide you with different opportunities that can get you those experiences that you need. Dr. Decker, would you like to jump in and talk a little bit about experience-based education? I know you mentioned this previously, but anything else maybe you want to add that you didn't mention before?
Well, I'll second Dr. O'Neill's comments about the advising. I am an academic advisor here in meteorology for all of the transfer students. We have some other faculty that do some of the advising as well, but actually I was just meeting with a video chat for almost an hour with a meteorology student just before this webinar. And if we had hundreds and hundreds of meteorology students, I probably wouldn't be able to do that with every student, but we have about 50 students. So in terms of our class size, it's, I guess, similar to microbiology. We have 10 to 15 students in your upper level meteorology courses. And so that does give our program what students often refer to as a family-like atmosphere. All the students get to know each other. The students know the faculty get to know the students really well. So you do get that attention if you need it or if you want it with advising, and you're just going through the program in general.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's really what adds value to a student's education. I know I met one particular student on a tour who said, I love Rutgers because it's a really big place. And I went to a small high school and I'm looking for an institution that is really big. And that is the one thing I just want to continue to emphasize, is that you can still get that big university field and have all these places and people to connect with, opportunities. Academically, you get to be more intentional and focused with your faculty and your peers in the classroom, which is where you'll ultimately, develop the skills that you succeed and be able to be more focused, which I think really adds value to an education. Dr. Schofield, you talked extensively about this topic, but I wanted to just give you the opportunity if there was anything else you wanted to share. If not, just let me know and we can move on to the next topic.
No, I just, the message I think is you get a family atmosphere in the departments, but then you get a family atmosphere among all the club systems at the college. And if you're doing research, even though you're living on a small feeling campus, pretty much every instrument in the world to make any measurement is available to you on the main campus. And so you get the benefits of both.
Great. Thank you so much. So at this moment, one of the things that I think would be great for I believe it would be great for our audience to know is if we can have some of you talk about the opportunities for students to be on a pre-med track within your programs. We have, as a school that focuses a lot on scientific knowledge, we have a number of students who often go the biological sciences route, and because they have this preconceived notion that biology is the one pathway to medical school or to a health-related profession. So I'd love to invite Dr. Rauschenbach back to talk about how pre-med is actually, can be a really great track to do under the microbiology program, so that students are aware of their opportunities. Because I have some students who are joining us who are undecided, and if pre-med or a career in health professions is the way you'd like to go, can give you some information about the pathways and opportunities available for you.
I always tell my students that there certainly are always microbes everywhere, right? And part of your medical school training is microbiology. Another way that you are very well prepared for a medical school entry is that you are also taking biochemistry and organic chemistry. You can also add organic chemistry lab. So it's very science, or very science. It's a science major. And overall, the courses that you're taking, you are going to be very well prepared. I think another benefit, as I said, is that the major is very small, and you can meet with me individually. You don't have to wait. My door is always open. And in a biological science, or in biology, of course, you can also you go to medical school as well. But I think with a microbiology degree, I think you're even more prepared, and you have a really good range of different choices that you can take for your electives. So we have a huge long list of electives, and once you have the core requirements, having that list of electives can really prepare you for that entry into medical school. And I think a lot of students forget that with microbiology, you can certainly enter grad school. And I think it's a really great opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rauschenbach. And I actually want to expand a little bit further and even give our faculty the opportunity of talking about not just pre-med, but even going into pre-law, or even any other higher, postgraduate studies, because I know we have a number of 4+1 accelerated programs, and it's great for students to know that they can continue their studies at Rutgers. Dr. Decker, would you like to add anything to this particular question?
Right. So we often do have students go on to graduate school, typically in meteorology or atmospheric science. We have a 4+1 program is making its way through various levels of approval at Rutgers. It hasn't gone through. It's gone through some levels of approval. It's been approved, but it hasn't gone through the final stage of approval. So I can't say that we officially have a 4+1 program yet. But hopefully, by the fall semester, we will have an official 4+1 program, as many other programs do. So students can get in 4 years their bachelor's degree in meteorology, and then they only need 1 more year to get a master's degree in our atmospheric science graduate program.
Thank you so much. Dr. O'Neill, would you like to also add anything for this question? How students have gone into pre-med or pre-law, or any graduate accelerated programs available through your department?
Sure. So we don't have a 4+1, but we do have a really special relationship with the Blaustein School, which is public policy and planning. And so we work with all the social science departments in our own for graduate study. One of the things that distinguishes our program, and I know that a number of the majors at SEBS also require this class, we have a class in environmental law. It's taught by a lawyer, and it's taught as you would experience it in law school. So whether you take our major or not, you can take that class and get a sense of what it would feel like to be in law school. I would also really encourage you to think about pre-med does not necessarily mean biology only. And so increasingly medical schools have been asking or been interested in applicants who don't come with the usual majors. Similarly, law schools have been interested in people who aren't taking political science as a major. I'll tell you, science majors are very attractive to law schools because the law is becoming increasingly more technical. And so we have judges making decisions about things they don't know anything about. And that's not good. Even if you think about like the patent office, for example, it would be good for them to have a lawyer who also has a science background. So I would encourage you to think more creatively about combining, say, microbiology with law school, and not just with medical school, but also, you can take the pre-med required courses and take any major. Again, those things are really attractive to the professional schools. There's also such a diversification going on within the medical field. And I know a lot of people, maybe your parents are trying to encourage you to do certain kinds of professions, but I really would encourage you to think creatively about things like public health, for example. So public health PhD, it is super relevant right now. Public health looks at prevention rather than the treatment of disease. And so they can range in studies about diabetes or about exposure to air pollution, as well as microbes. So I encourage you to think more broadly about what sort of graduate opportunities are available, and in fact, whether it's worth it for you, depending on what it is that you really want to do.
Thank you, Dr. O'Neill. We actually have one question for you since I have you already on camera, if you would like to just elaborate. And you previously spoke about this, but if any last minute words you can provide for the student who would like for you to talk about research and internships for your major in your department.
Right. So we actually have one class, for example, that's called Internships in Watershed Management, where our professor, Dan Van Abs, he's worked in the state government on water and air pollution throughout his career, and now he's working as a professor with us. So he gets students placed in, say, the public health department, the planning department at the county, businesses that are involved in policies and in opportunities that affect the local river. So Oscar Schofield had mentioned the Raritan River. Many of our research and teaching activities focus on that river. And so this course it's an internship course that focuses on that river. But we placed people in the environmental protection department in New Jersey state government. There are also people who work in the Environmental Protection Agency. There's a local field office in Edison, and then any number of business firms and environmental consulting firms.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Schofield, would you like to talk about pre-med, pre-law opportunities for students or higher level degrees, postgraduate degrees on a master's level PhD for students through marine sciences?
Yeah, so obviously a lot of our graduates go on to marine science graduate programs, also engineering programs because they get so much hands-on training using tools. But because the way the major is set up is you're very almost a double major in biological sciences if you take that track. And so what we find is the students that actually just go into pre-med actually look really attractive to the schools because they've taken all the core courses you need for pre-med, but they also have an interesting background of applying it in a different way. And that seems to help them do when they apply. And several of our students have gone on to medical school, as well as engineering schools, and a fair number are hired directly by industry.
Thank you so much, Dr. Schofield. So I see that a student is asking regarding housing, and I just want to make sure that students are aware that the housing application is available through your enrollment pathway page, which is available through your My Rutgers dashboard. So when a student accepts their offer of admissions to Rutgers and pays the $150 enrollment fee, you'll have access to your My Rutgers dashboard. And on this platform, you'll be able to see all of the required items that you need to complete in order to continue with your enrollment process, whether you are going to have to take for you to register for your placement exam, for you to submit immunization records, and then there are other items that will be available to you regarding housing. So the housing application will be available on that website for you to complete it. The earlier you complete it, the better, because housing often is on a first come, first served basis. So please make sure if you are committing to Rutgers and you've decided that Rutgers is the place for you, we're excited to have you and hopefully meet you in the fall, but make sure that you visit the website, Are You On Campus at Rutgers.edu, and to follow all the steps outlined on your My Rutgers dashboard. So at this moment, we are pretty much at the end of our webinar. I just wanted to give the individual faculty who are on this panel an opportunity to provide some last minute words and also provide you not only some last minute words, but also provide you with some information that maybe they failed to mention earlier in their presentations. So Dr. R, if you would like to join us back, if you just have some words of encouragement for our students, you can also feel free to send that out to them as well.
Well, I wanted to congratulate you again, and also, hopefully you enjoy your years at Rutgers. It's a wonderful place with many opportunities, and feel free to reach out. Hopefully you were able to write down my email. So if you have any questions beyond this, or if you want to, reach out because maybe you want to clarify, or later on when you're declaring your major, I will be there, and I will be able to answer your questions, to the best of my ability. So, enjoy certainly your senior year, enjoy your summer, and then hopefully we get to all see you on campus.
Thank you so much, Dr. R. And here's Dr. R's email if any of you would like to follow up and send her any questions and follow up with anything specific that was mentioned in today's presentation, or maybe that wasn't that you want to learn more about. Dr. Decker, would you like to talk about or provide some last minute words for our student?
Certainly. So congratulations once again. You can see my email address as well as the meteorology website there on this slide. So definitely feel free to reach out to me with any additional questions you have. And then I just wanted to reiterate our Living Learning community. The Weather Watcher Living Learning community is a great experience for all of our students, regardless of your level of interest in broadcast meteorology specifically. Students get a lot out of participating in that Living Learning community. So if you're planning to be an on-campus student, I would definitely look into that opportunity.
Great, thank you so much. Dr. Schofield, I'm passing it on to you. Any last words?
My first thought is you should just stop and be proud of yourself for a minute. You've gotten into great, opportunities, and you should just feel good about that. And the decisions you're going to make are going to take you to amazing places. And we think you're going to excel, and that's why we want you to come join us.
Thank you so much. Very well said. And lastly, Dr. O'Neill, any last few words?
Well, thanks very much for bearing with us. We really are glad that you're participating with us. I think you're being a little shy today, so definitely contact any of us. We're really friendly. I want to also just say, I don't know, people have ideas about Rutgers University. All I can say is we have some of the most amazing faculty members here. These people, I don't know if you have a sense of how accomplished people are on this campus. We have an amazing set of researchers. And, I think Dr. Schofield is really making the case for why you should do an undergraduate degree at a research university. It is a different choice. You can get that small college feel as you get a sense from all of these programs as well. And so, you don't have to go into research to come here. But this school will give you a perspective. And I think that that is something that I hope came through in all of our presentations today, a perspective that we are all part of the world and that we can do something to change it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. O'Neill. I think that you all really hit the nail on the head, and I appreciate you joining us for this webinar. We hope that it was informative. If you have any outstanding questions, you have all of the faculty members' emails, but you can also reach out to the Office of Academic Programs by either visiting scbs.rutgers.edu. From Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You can chat with us live, and myself and the rest of the deans and representatives from our office will be supporting you with any questions that you have. But also you can email us at advising@scbs.rutgers.edu. So please do not feel afraid to reach out to us if you have any questions, anything that wasn't specifically talked about or discussed in today's webinar. We hope that you stay safe. We hope that you continue to remain healthy and that you feel, again, affirmed and confident that Rutgers has your back and will support you in all of your academic endeavors. We look forward to meeting you in the fall semester and connecting with you further this summer as you make your decisions to enroll and to start registering for classes. I know Dean Andrew just sent our website in order for you to connect with us through our website. So please, again, follow those links, connect with us, and ask us any questions. We're here to support you. Take care and have a great day and enjoy your upcoming weekend.